Hello and welcome to Swaay.Health. I'm excited for today's episode because Brittany, Quemby, and I are going to talk about our upcoming Swaay.Health Live 24 conference. Brittany, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Colin. I'm so happy to be here, and we're back on our home turf. We were together on the road for a little bit, and now we are back on our home turf.
I am so happy to be off the road for a little bit, even if it's only for like a week before I go back on the road. But we're going to blink and it's going to be May, and that's the time for our conference.
It's craziness.
So where is it happening and when?
Yeah, so I'm so excited. It is happening May 6th to 9th in Atlanta at the W Hotel downtown. It's a beautiful venue. So I'm really excited for people to join us there in, a month or so.
I know it's going to be so quick. Well, Brittany, for those that have never been to our conference before, which for everyone, it's been years. It was called the HITMC Conference. Last couple of years, we've kind of switched it over to the Swaay.Health. Actually, this is the first year it's Swaay.Health Live. What can people expect from the conference?
Yeah, so we have an array of education sessions planned for everyone, and we're, kind of going outside of the box this year with some of our formatting of the sessions, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, so a ton of education, lots of networking. So there's an array of folks from health IT companies, provider organizations, agencies. So just a ton of networking that folks can do. As well as, making lasting connections and friendships. I talked to a bunch of people who have been to the conference before at HIMSS and Vibe, and they likened it to, summer camp for health IT marketers, which is kind of cool because that is kind of the vibe that you get from it. You make, lasting friendships with those people, and then you get to see them year after year.
Yeah, it is kind of like a family reunion in some ways as well. Like you get to see people you haven't seen for maybe a year, and all of us, we do see each other at various shows and conferences, but we're either running around looking at and making sure the booth is okay, or they're presenting, or making sure whoever is presenting is well prepared. So we never have a chance to really connect or do anything at the big shows. So it's nice to come to one where we don't have to do anything. There's no booth to run. There's no. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. That's always the best part is getting the chance to see everybody.
For sure.
So let's talk about some of the logistics and some of the things that actually are going to be happening at the show. We have a social event, right? That we're planning. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so on the Tuesday evening, we have a social event that's happening off-site from the hotel. And this is just a way for, folks to kind of let loose. Once you've had a full day of education, it's kind of nice to go and have some food, connect with people, maybe do a little bit of karaoke, a little bit of dancing, but just really connecting with people outside of kind of the sessions that are happening throughout the day.
Right, and it's happening on that first evening, so you'll have a chance to reconnect with those people, not on the dance floor, but in the exhibit.
Or on the dance floor.
Or on the dance floor, on the Wednesday and the Thursday of the conference too.
Exactly.
So that's great. And as is tradition, we also have a new member event happening on the Tuesday morning. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so this is kind of a tradition that we've done for the past couple years, and it's perfect for anybody who hasn't been to the conference before. So we have some kind of what we call veterans who go to this meetup, as well as our staff, just to welcome anybody who's new to the conference, just so you can kind of get a feel for what to expect and who some familiar faces that are going to be there. And like I said before, it is kind of like a summer camp situation, but even if you're new, everybody is so welcoming. The first conference I went to, it was so nice to be able to just meet people and feel comfortable and be able to connect with those people, from the get-go.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun when you see the veterans, as we call them, people who've been to more than one of these things. Talk to the new people who have never been to one about what the event is like, and just hearing them describe it. It's very much the way like you described it. It's like a family reunion. Yeah. It's like a summer camp, but it's a lot of fun because that gives people at least a couple of folks that they know that they can talk to and are having that shared experience of being at that conference for the first time. So.
Exactly, and kind of take someone under their wing, if you will.
And that is why we do that event is so that, if they do have questions and they can't find one of the organizers, they can turn to that small group that they had that new meeting with
Hmm.
for support. And a lot of when I see a lot of those people later on in the conference, they've ended up like having lunch together. They've
Yeah.
ended up hanging out together at the social event. So it's kind of nice to go to that new member meetup on the Tuesday morning. It definitely is worth it.
For sure.
So we've talked about the social event. We've talked about the new member meetup. Got to talk about the Reverse Expo, because that's
Mm,
a kind of a unique feature of our event as well. What's
yeah.
that?
Yeah, so the Reverse Expo is, likened to the name. Some people might not know what the Reverse Expo is, but we have a big room set up with specific buyers in seats within the room. So then folks can then go in and have conversations with those buyers and kind of pick their brain about, what makes them tick, what are their priorities, any questions that you want to ask that specific buyer. You can have in during those conversations in that Reverse Expo session or room.
Yeah.
I know you've been to a few. What is your favorite part of a Reverse Expo? We've done it a couple years, so.
Yeah. So the Reverse Expo it's not like a buyer meeting or something. It's not a chance to sell. Like, it's really more a chance to meet people and start a relationship. That's one of the things we really stress about the Reverse Expo we run. It's kind of like speed dating, but the point being, it's just to explore whether or not there's a fit at all. And so yeah, so unlike a regular exhibit hall, here the people sitting at the tables or sitting at the booths, if you will, are people who are actually potential customers. So these
Mhm.
would be health IT companies, these would be provider organizations, and then our sponsors, they get the chance to go and meet some of those people for a few minutes, and then we sort of ring the bell and they switch seats and they get to meet someone else. So again, it's just a chance to get to know somebody who you might not bump into
Mm.
randomly. So, but now having this Reverse Expo on the first day, you now have a chance for a couple more days to catch up with them afterwards. If there was something they're like, oh yeah, like we really should talk more, well, you'll have the chance to do that at the rest of the Swaay.Health Live.
Awesome.
So yeah, so again, the one thing we stress is it's not an opportunity to sell because you don't have enough time, but it's really an opportunity to just get to know someone. Like you said, ask them some questions,
Hmm.
find out where their priorities are this year or next year, and then kind of go from there.
Very cool.
So one of the things that I got a chance to do was to actually tour our site,
Hmm.
which is great. I'm looking forward to being at the W. And one of the things that we've always done is we've had this sort of expo area that's in the outside of the lobby
Hmm.
rather than a whole exhibit hall. And we do that because we know we don't want because we're marketers,
Hmm.
we don't want people to set up big booths or anything like that. We don't want to
Right.
go through the rigmarole of an exhibit hall, so we have people just in the lobby. Um, and we're going to have a lot of our sponsors there, and so we encourage people to go and stop by the sponsors.
Hmm.
Talk to me about some of the unique ways we try to get people to mingle with the sponsors in that lobby area.
Yeah. So the W is, it's a more kind of unique. Smaller hotel, kind of like a boutique hotel, right? So
Mhm.
the space is really nice. It lends itself to be more intimate, which what we like for our conference. So we have a main room, but then we have a little hallway where all of our sponsors are going to be located, and it's great for foot traffic for our attendees. They have to kind of mingle throughout to go for food or to one of the sessions. So it's a great opportunity for them to kind of stop by and chat with the array of sponsors that we have with us this year, which is quite a few, a range of sponsors that we have.
And we also have that secret word, right? Like, so
Right.
and we ask each sponsor who has a table to think of a secret word or phrase. And then, of course, we have the bingo card that, if you get all the phrases and all the words, you get entered into a draw, usually for a completely free um, conference next year. So it includes the hotel and the registration and all that. So
Hmm.
it's usually a pretty big draw, and a lot of people love walking around. And the words are pretty fun.
Yeah.
We've had over the years, we've had some pretty unique, pretty fun ones. They're not just sort of regular secret words. They
Yeah.
have some meaning. So I remember one year someone put their favorite flavor of ice cream as
Mm.
the secret word. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then so on the Wednesday, we also have kind of left it open for sponsors to
Mm.
mix and mingle with the attendees. So we don't have an event that we're putting on the Wednesday, but we've kind of left it open for sponsors to, if they've connected with someone, or maybe you've connected with a sponsor, you can always, chat with them and maybe, like you said, go for dinner, or go for their favorite ice cream somewhere.
Right, right. So that night is open for anybody to host their own event or
Exactly.
do something impromptu.
Yeah.
So there's nothing scheduled for the Wednesday night. So let's talk about some of the sessions, because you mentioned that off the top that we really put a focus this year on not doing lectures
Mm-hmm.
or moving away from completely being lectures.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot more panels and debates, which we're trying, and some new things. What are some of those formats that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we have, like you said, we have some debates that are going to go on, which I think are going to be really interesting. We definitely have some Ask Me Anythings, which are kind of new, a new format that we're doing. And like you said, more panels. So backed by popular demand, we have our press panel, which everybody loves. A series of press folks that are on the panel where we can ask them the burning questions: what stories do you like to hear? What makes a good pitch? All those types of good questions. And then the customer panel as well, which is always a well attended panel at the conference.
That's actually one of my favorite panels, because we get a chance. It's rare, right, for
Mm.
marketers to actually get a chance to ask questions of a CIO or any one of those kinds of, or CTO, CI, in terms of like, what do you actually open? What do you actually read? What actually does email actually make a difference? And so it's always very interesting to hear the answers from these folks. And so customer panel's always been one of the most popular ones and the most informative.
Yeah. And one of the debates that I'm actually looking forward to is, should AI be used for content generation for healthcare professionals? So, we can't have a conference or a session without talking about AI. So I think that'll be interesting. We have an array of debaters on stage that are going to be talking about, should AI be used for content creation in our industry. So that'll be interesting to hear some of the points for and some of the points against. So people for sure should be able to check that one out.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting format, because we're trying these debates not because we actually want to declare a winner, but the intent of the debate is really to explore the topic from multiple perspectives, right? So you get the sort of for perspective and then the against perspective. But I think one of the things to say is that the people who are debating aren't actually maybe on one side or the other. They're just helping us to explore this topic together. So it should be very interesting. And that one in particular, I'm interested in the answers as well, to know like, what are some of the caveats to using generative AI for, health IT or healthcare content? Is it advisable? What are the risks? What are some of the problems? And hopefully some of these folks are bringing some of their experience using it or not using it to the table. Are there any other sessions you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think one of the ones that's going to be interesting for me is that we have a panel called "Our Conference is Worth the Squeeze?" And, a lot of the folks who are attending our conference have been to conferences lately. We have Vibe, we've had HIMSS, we'll have HMPS, you were just at a few, the Marketing 360. So I think it'll be an interesting conversation to see how people are feeling about these conferences that they've just attended. Is it worth the investment? Where are people investing more versus less? I think those will be some interesting insights that come out of that panel.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the Ask Me Anything session that's being put on by my friends Carrie George and Sue McCluskey from Goods and Services. And they're going to be, the Ask Me Anything is around branding. So this is a chance for the audience really to ask them any question related to branding. And just as a little shameless plug for them, I've worked with them a number of times. We've worked with them a number of times on several rebrands of health IT companies. So they are really good at this. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle being in the hot seat, where they're just going to be answering questions from the audience. Now, there's also an opportunity for that particular session to ask them questions ahead of time, so they can submit some questions. But I think that's going to be a very unique format and something a little different. And of course, we have our infamous, or famous, I guess, unconference sessions.
Right.
So explain what those are, because a lot of people get confused on what an unconference session is.
Yeah, it's always, I think, difficult to explain it. And once you go to one, you understand it. But when you try to explain it, it's a little bit difficult, but I will try my best. So unconferences is basically kind of like a discussion group. So you get into small groups based on a specific topic or question, and you get into small groups and you basically just ask your burning questions about that specific topic. So say it's about content creation or social media, you're basically in a room with, probably 10 to 15 people who want to know your experience on that specific topic, or do you have any insights or any tips or tricks? So it's really just a kind of a discussion group where you're learning from each other, and gleaning any information about that topic from the folks in that room.
Yeah, it's really kind of like, you almost think about it, that Q&A session at the end of most sessions, and where maybe members of the audience are now contributing some information and some knowledge. That's essentially the whole session, right? Is just Q&A and talking and discussing, and that's where a lot of the learning happens. Like a lot of peers will bring up, oh, like I tried this and it didn't work. And then someone else will go, oh, yeah, I tried the same thing and I did because I did this one extra thing. And that's usually where a lot of great insights come from. And yeah, this is the unconference is where essentially the audience members and the attendees, they choose what we're talking about in that session. It's not set in stone. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then I think one of the sessions, the more standard ones that I'm looking forward to, is this one from Dan Dunlap and Lorraine McGrath from Swaay.Health. It's called Rising from the Ashes, and it's a very unique case study / interactive session where Swaay.Health had to recover from a devastating fire at their facility, where they had to evacuate everyone out of the hospital, and then the hospital was so damaged it had to be almost completely replaced on the inside in terms of the infrastructure, because it was like an electrical fire, I think it was. So this is their journey about how they recovered from that and how they got the community involved in that recovery. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that particular event and that particular situation.
For sure. And, this is just a sneak peek of some of the sessions we have. I can't wait for people to see the full, gamut of what we have to offer. It's going to be amazing.
Brittany, thank you so much for coming on the program and telling us a little bit about the wonderful event that we have planned in May.
I know. I'm so excited. It's going to be here before we know
it. I know. That's the nutty part to think about, really.
It's wild.
Anyways, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for being on today's program. If you like this content, please head on over to Swaay.Health, that's Swaay with 2 A's, .health, where you can find more great content like this. I'm Colin Hung, this is Brittany Quemby. Thanks for being here, and we'll catch you on the next video.